Hi, good evening. Sumeet,
Are you doing?
very good, very good. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ranjit Cherkal. I'm the founder CEO of iColo, which is a digital realty company based in Eastern Africa. It is my pleasure to introduce Sumeet Rajpal, who has been one of our dear customers for a very long time, and particularly at our very first data center in Kenya. He is coming live to you from Mombasa. And Sumeet, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm very excited to share this with our global audience at DLR. And I'm really keen to hear more for everybody to hear more about the amazing things you're doing at iNet.
Thank you so much, Ranjit. It's really good to meet you in person. I've actually heard a lot about you. It's nice to find, I guess, meet you is the right way to say it.
Indeed.
Uh, yeah, so look, iNet Africa, we are an ISP. We primarily are based along the coastal belt of Kenya. We have a primary focus on Kilifi County. That's been where we started. We started in Malindi and we've expanded out from there. We've been trying to provide internet access to underserved areas at in Kilifi County. That's been our primary focus through the history of iNet. Um, so we're basically trying to provide a platform in the area to help businesses and companies and individuals, be able to take advantage of the empowerment and innovation that the internet can provide.
Very cool. So I think it's also very important for the colleagues online to also understand and appreciate. Kilifi is one of the many counties we have in Kenya, and it's certainly among the underserved ones. So what iNet is doing is very very unique. So it would be very good to hear more about what that journey of building a company like iNet is, and what you've been able to achieve,
Yeah,
and your sort of measures of success. And yeah,
yeah. So look, iNet honestly was not actually supposed to be a company. It was something that got started out of desperation. So when I moved back from Australia around in 2018, around the start of 2018, and I was a software developer there, and I decided, I'm going to come work remotely. And as I think many people who've lived in cities, you just assume internet is going to be just it's just one of those things that's there. And so I'd taken this job, and I obviously needed internet for me to be able to work. And I come in, and I remember the first day I tried to download my work environment, and it told me it's going to take 7 hours. And I had a mini panic attack, effectively, because so I had a mini panic attack. So thinking that, okay, what am I going to do? This is my bread and butter. And so what I figured out at the time is, let me try and see what solutions are available in Malindi, is where I had moved. And most of these people, like most of the community, did not have access to good quality internet. So my idea at the time was, let me approach a school, right? I thought that they have high quality internet, and maybe I can negotiate something with them whereby I can use their library, or figure out maybe for those few hours what I can do. I approached this school. I spoke to the IT guy, and it turns out they had it worse than I did. They'd been trying to implement an e-learning platform for a while, and he was even just sort of, as the way you bond over poor internet. He told me about a hospital that they also manage, and that they had queues left, right, center, because the NHIF, for anybody listening, that's the National Health Insurance Scheme, required the internet, but the internet was never stable enough for them to get access to that. So that was a dead end for me. And so what we figured from there on, I was trying to figure this out with a friend of mine. And what we figured out is that there was fiber coming to Malindi
Mhm.
by Liquid Telecom. I think it was Kenya Data Networks at the time. And it's in the middle of the city center. So we tried to get access to the internet there, but that was really far away. And finally managed to convince Liquid Telecom to give us a good deal, because they had underutilized capacity. They'd only pulled the fiber for banks and sort of big government organizations, and they have a retail arm called High that managed to give us pretty decent pricing. So I went back to this school once I found out that I could do this because we needed to do radios, right, to get the
Mm.
internet to anywhere. And we figured that the radios actually have a point to multi-point functionality that can serve multiple people. So as I was putting it up,
Interesting.
went back to
Interesting.
the school, said to them, listen, there's this system in place. You guys had said you're struggling. Why don't you test it out? Right? I'm doing the connection anyway. And they were not far away from my house. And so connected them. After a month, they were really happy. So they requested us to connect the hospital. We connected the hospital. One of my neighbors, a friend, family friend, asked for us to connect them. The school told another school. The next school asked us, and 5 years later, we're covering quite a large portion of Kilifi County, and a lot of schools, a lot of hospitals, orphanages. We've really tried to provide the services as much as we can in all the communities, not just the centers of the cities. So it's in the environments of most of these towns as well.
So actually, one of the stories I always know about iNet is the success with the school,
Yeah.
and how that was quite grassroots, whilst quite common in many other parts of the world. But in Kenya, a big story when the school gets the internet. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, and also how deciding to host at a carrier neutral data center like Icolo's also helped in that journey for you?
Honestly, I'll tell you, the first 1.5 years, right, when we started in 2018, the first 1.5 years were tough. There were not a lot of options available for backhaul providers. Right? We're in Malindi, nobody had really focused on it. In 2020, we set up at Icolo, and honestly, that was a game changer because
Well,
it allowed us to access Google content, Facebook content, the works. And then the team at Icolo introduced us to pretty much all the transit providers that were available at the data centers. Sajid, who's the director of sales, has been, really helpful with introducing us to almost everybody available. At that point is where I think we really managed to take it to the next level once we had access to this. Because to put it this way, since 2020, since our setting up at Icolo, we've doubled the speed for the same price every single year since 2020. So we're now currently at, when we started in the sort of first year and a half, we were about 5 times more expensive than internet providers in Mombasa and Nairobi, in the big cities. We are
okay,
currently cheaper than most of those providers in Kilifi County. And
amazing.
this is all to do with being able to connect with the global internet community through a data center. It's been massive.
Very cool. So, and the school, which we all know you for?
Yeah, so the schools, we actually connect quite a few of them, hospitals as well. And most of these, what we've noticed, have managed to now take on an e-learning approach, right?
Hmm.
Where students can access an LMS now at home, they can access whatever that sort of content was digitally. Um, it's made quite a bit of difference to the way people are even working, not just generally the schools, but in general. Each industry that we have worked with, we've noticed a bit of a feedback that we're now able to take advantage of, digital transformation, as they call it.
Okay, great. So, what has the business that you run had on the local ecosystem of local governments, people that live in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
um, and the changes that you've seen since you've started this business?
So we've really tried to work closely with the community at large to see what it is we are able to do more, even from a reliability point of view and from a CSR point of view. So I'll start with the reliability. As I mentioned to you, we're seeing a lot more of the feedback that we're getting is that um, companies and businesses are able to better monetize their the digital transformation, right? Take advantage of digital services online now, because it's not a hindrance anymore, the reliability of the internet. While in
Okay.
the past, what would happen is they would be thinking 5 or 6 times about implementing anything that's cloud based, any sort of CRM system, because if the internet
Hmm.
goes down, everybody's just sitting around.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's been our primary, I guess, impact. And then from the CSR point of view, we've really tried to see what value we can provide to the community. So we provide free internet to orphanages in the area, in any areas where we have coverage. We've also partnered during the COVID period. There was the vaccinations, and there was huge lines and huge wait times. So
Mm,
we provided
sure.
internet hotspots in those areas. We work very closely with Watamu Against Crime, which is a like the residents of Watamu have started their own security system. So we provide the internet that helps them, I guess, run the security systems that they're trying to implement.
Okay. And do you think, one of the stories I often talk about is, before the genesis of Mombasa One, which was our first data center there, the average cost of IP transit was somewhere between $50 to $70, right? And very quickly in a couple of years that dropped to about $2. And some of this is simply because we aggregated multiple providers in the same building and cut some of the barriers to be able to trade a little bit more freely. Now, I wonder, have you, as a company, as iNet as a company, been able to do that at a consumer level, which is pass on some of those benefits, thereby by giving more bandwidth at a lower price?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what I was saying is since we've set up at iColo every single year, we've doubled the speed for the same cost, right? So we've not changed our costs at all, but we managed to double the speed every single year to the point that we're now cheaper than most of the providers in Nairobi and Mombasa as well. So we can provide it at a lower cost. Yeah.
And now that you've done this in what sounded like a little bit of a pilot program, and you've run it for a couple of years, you've understood the market, you've understood the consumer behavior. What are the next steps for you? Where do you see the company going? What's the next horizon, basically?
Yeah. So I mean, we're trying to keep replicating what we have done, right? We're trying to sort of template that out, automated a lot of stuff to do with it to allow it to be able to continue to grow. But what we're trying to do in terms of, I guess, let's say diversification or rather value add maybe is we're focusing a lot more on trying to provide or partner with, so develop ourselves or partner with software solution providers, right? So CRM systems, ERP systems, etc. Because what we're finding is while the digital transformation, as I was mentioning, has improved, it's still quite far behind. You go into
Correct.
businesses, you see they're still using, physical files for noting things down. There's not that movement towards how do we digitize and automate hasn't really started. And we're thinking that because we're providing obviously the infrastructure, right, for the
Yeah.
internet, we want to see how we can create the ecosystem that our consumers can make use of so that smaller companies and smaller businesses and smaller schools from Kilifi County are able to compete at the same level and provide services at the same level as companies in the bigger cities. So we're trying to see how we can get that software bridge that allows them to leverage the internet better.
And perhaps other counties in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've already providing a lot of the internet in Diani in Kwale County
Mm.
through a partner, and we're definitely expanding. We're trying to go further up, even towards Kilifi County, towards the more rural areas, Marafa and those sites. We've actually covered all the way up to Gongoni, which is quite
Right.
far out,
Yeah.
and so we're trying to move essentially in both directions up towards Lamu, and we'll see how it goes. But we want to sort of keep our base and then expand from there. We don't want to sort of segregate. So we're still planning that out, Rajiv.
Exciting. You know, I don't doubt for a moment that the future of Rynet is very bright, and I think you're also fixing problems that have not been fixed for many years. So at many levels, I'm very grateful that you're a customer of ours. But let's say you could get some special tech, and I'm sure you watch some.
I'm a nerd, man.
Exactly. So if you were to pick something from like a space movie or something from the future, this one piece of you know science that you'd have on your end, or technology, what would that be?
This is a conversation I think I've had with my friends, and it's one of those things that we like to chat about. Honestly, this might not be that far away, so this might actually be just around the corner. But Jarvis from Iron Man,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
with ChatGPT, it's probably like next year we're going to have our own Jarvis. But I think that sort of interactiveness of technology, just being able to talk to your computer and have it build something,
Mm.
I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we've seen many versions of that with Siri and Alex,
Oh, but
doing interesting things in our lives.
ChatGPT is another level, though.
I would agree. I would agree. I think everybody is very excited about it. So,
Yeah,
anyway, I mean, Sumit, we really appreciate you taking this time, telling us your story, and we're very excited to hear about the future. We're very grateful for you working with us. You've also been a big supporter of our data center story in Mombasa. Um, Thanks again for making time and sharing your story with us.
thank you so much for this platform. It's honestly humbling to be a part of this, and thank you so much. It's been really good what we've managed to do through iColo and all the honestly advice, introductions, etc. that we've gotten. It's been invaluable. So I hope I'm going to see you in person very soon, though.
Yeah, well, indeed, that will make a plan. I think video calls are just not enough. We
Yes,
certainly need to make that happen. I'll see you on the East Coast very soon.
great, great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.